tournaments. The 149-pounder for Rutgers, Andrew Clark, said those tournaments are like a war, and it certainly was. This is going to be a war as the two Rams that lock horns go at it at 197 pounds. Gabe Sollars, the redshirt sophomore from Evansville, Indiana. He'll be taking on John Poznanski, the senior from Colonia, New Jersey.
A lot to watch here after these guys just wrestled. Who's going to make the adjustments? Who's going to ride on top? Who's going to win the hand fight? I'm excited to find out.
16-3 lead for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. 5 matches to go. Opening action of Big Ten Wrestling here in 2025.
This is one that the Hoosiers need to stay in this. When we were looking at the lineups before, 97 and heavyweight looked like a perk for the Hoosiers, but now they look like a must-have.
We've got like an, I don't know exactly what you call it. Is it like an Ireland horn that's playing? I know some of these guys have great walkout music.
Yeah, you know, Gabe gets creative with it, goes with the bagpipes.
That's definitely a way to say it, for sure.
Calling a little Conor McGregor to mind.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought too. Gabe Sollars 11-5 on the season, 3-2 in duels, 8 bonus point victories, 4 falls, which leads the team. Every season he's been here, he's led the team in falls. He has 27 in his young career. He got second at the Midlands. We'll flip it over to John Poznanski. 8-4 on the season, 6-1 in duels, 7 bonus point victories. He has 6 tech falls on the year, which leads the team. These guys know how to exhaust the scoreboard. He got 6th at the Midlands.
Now, when they wrestled in Midlands, both of Gabe's takedowns came from this exact position here. In a front head, look for Gabe to jump to the legs from here, but I'm sure Poznanski has been training that all week, and he clears it.
I always describe the 197s, as I mentioned when I was introducing these two, Dan, as like two Rams locking horns. It's where strength and speed and athleticism come to a head.
Yeah, it all combines. 97 is an interesting weight like that because you have, I mean, they're so strong. Just look at those biceps on these guys. They can move you around. Gabe has such strong hips, too, the way he can stuff guys in on his shots. That's why last time they wrestled, like I said, both those came from when Poznanski was under Gabe, and Gabe used those hips to jump to the leg and scored. So both guys are going to be looking to stay out of that position. Poznanski, he scored with a low ankle shot last time. Look for him to get back to that.
9-5 was the score. Sollars over Poznanski at the Midlands. This is the 4th time these two have met in their respective careers. Poznanski won the first 2 when Sollars was a young redshirt freshman. He won 7-1, and then Poz won again 6-2 at the Big Ten tournament last year. And then this year, obviously, Sollars got that 9-5 win at the Midlands. He said, I'm older now, I'm stronger now, I'm smarter now, I'm grown, I'm not a little boy anymore, and he got that win over Poznanski, looking to even up the series, as they say tonight, with a win.
That is, we all grow a little bit every day, and Gabe Sollars is no exception. Now look for these hard collars by these guys. I know we haven't seen much committed attacks, but look at those collars, a lot of force behind that forearm, making contact. It's almost like a legal punch the way that these guys throw their collars. Both of them are looking to get there. And that was a lot of the battle when they wrestled at Midlands.
Feeling out process in this first period of action at 97. As Rutgers maintains its 13-point advantage on the scoreboard. No score at the end of 1.
Now things get interesting. It looks like we'll see Poznanski going down. Gabe rode him very hard last time they wrestled, racked up 2 minutes of riding time. He's going to be looking to do that again here, but I'm sure Poznanski has been training it.
Let's go back mat side with Ava.
Thanks, guys. When I talked to both of these coaches earlier in the week about going into the Big Ten slate and what they're working towards, they both identically said getting over the hump, following through, and finishing matches. Escobedo went into further detail saying, whether we're losing or winning, we've got to learn how to capitalize, and that means having a short-term memory, moving on, and not letting what just happened affect the future. And guys, I think it's pretty obvious today in this match that following through and finishing matches is working out. Guys.
Definitely, Ava. That's what it has to be when it's razor-thin margins in the Big Ten. The man to my left knows all about that, wrestling 141 for the Hoosiers last season. Both these guys, when we talked to them this week, Dan, emphasized finishing matches, winning those close ones. Poznanski's in on a shot, trying to collect both legs of Sollars. Sollars hard to take down. What a series. Now Sollars is in on a single leg.
Great re-attack by Gabe. He's got to get that. He's chasing that far hip. Out of bounds.
No takedown awarded, but there will be a stall warning on Poznanski as he was trying to kick away and kick out of there again. Gabe had control. He just didn't have any part of his body in bounds.
Great mat awareness by Poznanski to jump out. Yeah, you get hit with the stall, but a stall call, that first one is 0 points, where a takedown is 3 points, so he'll take that all day. Beautiful offense by both guys there. Both were just inches away from scoring. It really is a sport of inches, if not centimeters, millimeters.
1-0 Paz with the lead, 40 seconds to go, period 2. At 197, a lot of hard, heavy collar ties. Gabe Sollars, 2 ranked wins this season. John Poznanski still looking for that first ranked win. He's been close. He lost 4-3 to Andy Smith of Virginia Tech.
Now plenty of opportunities heading into the Big Ten season here. He's got one right in front of him right now.
Poznanski 57-22 in his career in a Rutgers singlet. 2021 All-American where he got 4th at the NCAAs. He's trying to recapture that momentum. He's a 3-time NCAA qualifier. Gabe Sollars looking to get there for the first time this season. So we end period 2 with a 1-point advantage in favor of the Scarlet Knight. Sollars will take bottom.
That beautiful kick, and watch. Gabe goes right back in right there. Pass by, he's in low. And here he's working to bring the leg up, but that threat from Poznanski gets him free.
Dan, you know when it gets to this level, attacking is just not good enough. It's those re-attacks, those re-shots that get it done for you.
It's the best time to go. Best time to attack is after somebody attacks you. Guys like to stand up and take a little break there. That's when you go, and that's what Gabe did, but didn't get the finish, and he'll look to get it here.
Shaping up to be the closest matchup between these two in this series between them. 1-1 the score. They've been in on a shot a couple times, have both of them. Dan, what do they got to do to finish?
They got to get up to their feet quick, especially at this weight. They both have such heavy hips. You don't want to stay under those hips because then it turns into the other guy's offense. You got to get in and get up. That's the motto for both of these guys.
Sollars, a 2-time state champion, went to Evansville Modern Day High School. He won it in 2021 at 182 pounds, and then again at 95 and 100 in 2022. Poznanski gets it on the re-attack and gets the takedown.
That was incredible.
With 1:05 to go.
Incredible timing by Poznanski. Gabe had him dead to rights, and he rushed the finish a little bit. Poznanski slipped that arm through, and that bottom arm is what saved him there.
Poznanski can 10 again just to hang out on the edge.
Big veteran move, keeping his toe in bounds.
As we go out of bounds, and now Sollars taking some deep breaths as he resets in the middle. 48 seconds to go here at 197.
You need a quick point if you're Gabe. You give yourself a good 40 seconds to chase after that attack. Poznanski needs one mat return, and he can take some more time off the clock.
Sollars gets up, gets the escape with 43 to go at 197. He's down 2.
You see Gabe starting to pick up his pace here. Oh, but good shot by Poznanski.
Winning on that low single. He's in the peek through position right now.
And he's content to just kill some time here. Like still moving a little bit to make sure the ref doesn't stalemate. It's veteran moves by Poznanski to keep the clock rolling here.
Scott Goodale has the challenge brick in his left hand right now. He's thinking about throwing it unless his vet wrestler can score the takedown here.
Maybe he's looking for
10
a scissor?
seconds to go. Sollars has got to do something. He's got to go. Poznanski holding onto Sollars' leg. John Poznanski says you haven't learned everything yet, Sollars. He gets the 4-2 decision win over the red shirt sophomore, and Rutgers stretches its lead to 19-3.
It's got to feel good for Poznanski to get that one back after Midlands, and here's how.
Boys, the heavyweight bout. Two guys that also know a lot about each other. It's Jacob Bullock, the grad student from Cahokia, Illinois, going against Yaraslau Slavikouski, the grad student from Belarus.
Another rematch from Midlands here where Bullock took the match. Yara looking to get this one back just like his teammate just did. Yara is very fun to watch as a heavyweight. He moves a lot. He's not one of those heavyweights that just kind of is a slugfest. He's quick. He's really quick.
It comes down to millimeters. It comes down to the one that's got a little bit more gas in the tank, Dan. We're into our 7th match of the night. 3 of these matches have been decided by 2 points or less.
Yeah, that's why scoreboard team score is deceiving right now. 19-3 certainly doesn't feel like, you know, Indiana's been in all of these matches, and like you said, Riley, just millimeters, 1% of gas. It's all it comes down to. That can be the difference, especially in the Big Ten.
We got 3 more matchups after this one as the lineup will turn over. We started at 149.
I always like that. I like to go from the heavyweight to the 25. I think it really highlights just how wild of a sport wrestling is, that you have, I mean, you'll see the 25s next. Jake Moran is a little bit smaller than Bullock, about half as big, but they play the same sport.
I mentioned the razor-thin margins a minute ago. In the Illinois duel, 7 of the 10 matchups that Indiana wrestled against the Fighting Illini were decided by 3 points or less, and that's a big point of emphasis for Angel Escobedo. We got to start being able to consistently beat All-Americans and national champs. That's what he told me. And those razor-thin margins, those little coin flip matchups that can decide a winner or a loser, they need to start finding ways to win those, Dan.
Yeah, that feels like the next step for this program. All these guys are right there. The next step would be to get somebody on the podium, and in order to get on the podium, you're going to have to beat somebody else who's on the podium. So that's what Coach Escobedo is looking to get out of his guys here.
1 minute left in period 1 at the heavyweights. Bullock and Slavikouski.
You see the movement from Yara here. You just don't see that at heavyweights too often.
As you mentioned, the matchup between these two was a 4-1 win for Jacob Bullock. In his career, Jacob Bullock has never lost to a Rutgers Scarlet Knight, a perfect 3-0. He beat Boone McDermott, Jonathan O'Donnell, and of course Slavikouski at the Midlands. These two guys moving around like freight trains as Bullock blasts double Slavikouski out of bounds.
Yara transferred in from Harvard, not this year, but last year. When he was at Harvard, he had, there was a coach at Harvard that spoke Russian and would yell at him in Russian during the matches. And when we wrestled them at
awesome.
Columbia, I asked him, I said, that had to be a little intimidating, right? And he said, yeah.
It sounds intimidating to me. I can't imagine if he say it, it's intimidating. I'd probably be in a world of trouble.
And I mean, you know, Russia is a wrestling superpower.
Yeah, especially at obviously the national level with Olympic trials and all of that. Some of the best come out of Russia. We enter period 2 at the heavyweights. I think they're taking a look at something at the scores table for a moment. I think they're double checking maybe team score. It didn't take very long. Officials tonight, Nicholas Grasso in the middle, Conrad Duffy out on the edge. Confusion is settled. Slavikouski will be on bottom to start period 2. He's 10-2 this season, 5-1 in duels. Has 7 bonus point victories. He got 3rd at the Midlands with 5 wins, including a win over Peter Ming at Stanford. And again, the officials are talking things over. There's still a dialogue happening. It's just the officials a little bit further away from them. They're kind of playing tag, going back and forth a little bit. Nothing changed, and we're going to start period 2.
All is good. We'll see if
Slavikouski immediately up to his feet. He cuts away and gets the escape.
Yara's collar is very interesting. He likes to put both hands on that collar and get real in close. They call it fighting in a phone booth, and that seems to be Yara's tactics in there with that double collar. And then he's quick enough to move off of it. But when you're wrestling a guy like Bullock and those massive thighs, those tree trunks, you know, you have to be a little picky with your shots.
Well, he's in on a shot right now. Drives through, no takedown yet. He can't collect both legs. We're out of bounds. Rutgers bench wants a stall warning. They're not going to get it.
Beautiful shot.
You mentioned it right there, Dan.
Beautiful shot. He blew right past those hips, but Bullock did a great job of scissoring that other leg out at the last second to prevent the takedown. And he keeps this match knotted up at 1-0.
Bullock 11-5 this season, 2-3 in dual 6 bonus point victories. He got second at the Midlands, raked wins over Sebastian Garibaldi of Princeton. Had a couple ranked losses as well. Trevor Tinker of CPU. Got pinned by Luke Luffman of Illinois. Bullock gets warned for stalling with 45 to go in the second period.
Yara's strategy here seems to be to go for those attacks like we just saw, where he doesn't have to go to his knees and risk getting caught under like he just does here. By staying upright on those attacks, he prevents himself from getting stuffed under those big hips of Bullock. And that's where he got scored on in the Midland semifinals. With 3 seconds left, Bullock capitalized on a shot from Yara where he was stuck underneath and got his 3 on a spin behind. But Yara seems to have made that adjustment. We'll see what adjustments Bullock has made here.
Outside of that one win the Hoosiers had at 165 with Tyler Lillard, it's been the Scarlet Knights that have been scary aggressive in this one so far.
Yeah, they've came out and controlled the center of the mat, gotten to their attacks. The snow does not seem to have affected their attacks.
Period 2 comes to a close as Bullock gets in on the leg, but he's way out of time. He will take bottom. He has been warned for stalling.
And here's where Bullock gets that left leg out into the wood. He does a great job.
Bullock, one of those guys that he had a choice coming out of high school to go to ODU or Indiana, the 2 schools that recruited him. He gets out, gets an escape. He chose ODU after a year. The program got dropped, so he came back to the other school that recruited him. Came back to Indiana. He's been a staple at heavyweight for the program ever since. 34-22 career record in an IU singlet, trying to get to 35 wins with a win over a known foe in Slavikouski.
A real shame to hear about programs getting dropped. As much as we love that it brought Bullock here, real shame to hear about programs getting dropped. We'd love to see more wrestling programs pop up around the country. The women's wrestling is getting going now, so.
Which is fantastic.
It absolutely
They're
is.
incredibly talented.
It is blowing up the women's wrestling, exponential growth for the women's wrestling. More so in certain states than others, but it's going to be a national thing soon. They'll have a Division I championship soon, I'm sure. Plenty of programs working towards that.
Especially with how much the sport of wrestling has grown as a whole. Obviously, the rule changes a couple of years ago, trying to bring more and more people to the sport to watch it. And if you were to ask you or I, Dan, I would tell them that they're missing out, that they should come and watch this amazing sport that we have. College wrestling, one of the best.
Oh, absolutely. It's a legalized fight here, Division I wrestling. That's what we like to call it. You see these guys just throwing collars. You get a black eye, split your head. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
And you only got to pay an entrance fee of maybe $5 to see this fight, give or take.
Yeah, cheaper than UFC 310.
This is the similar score that it was between these two at Midlands. It did go to sudden victory. Let's see if it happens again. It's looking like it right now with 7 ticks to go in the third. Remember, Bullock has been warned for stalling. He will carry that into the sudden victory period.
Let's see if that comes into play. I'd like to know the stats. It feels like the heavyweights are always going to overtime. I'd like to know the stats, the percentage of weights that have overtime matches. Heavyweight has to be number one.
You mentioned Slavikouski, his history at Harvard, two-time NCAA qualifier. He went 64 and 15 in the Harvard singlet. He got third at the 2023 AIWA Championships. He's the first Harvard Rookie of the Year in his first season there in 16 years. Career record overall, 96 and 25. He's a member of the Belarus national team. And he's got a brother that's a four-time World Cup and Baltic Games champion. Wrestling runs in the Slavikouski family.
Yeah, member of the Belarus national team, as you mentioned. You kind of see it in the way that he wrestles. The European wrestling style is so fluid. The way that he moves his hands so quick. They're heavy, but not too heavy. And
Bullock,
now he's got
shot in space. Yep. Go back up to the neutral position. Bullock trying to work to be the aggressor.
He has to with that stall call hanging over his head.
If you're Indiana, you're starving for points right now.
And that definitely gets in your head a little bit, that stall call. Even though it shouldn't, it's hard to not feel like, oh, I have to take an attack here to keep the ref off my back. And sometimes that can mean a bad attack. Nice snap and go. Tough spot for Bullock, but he flips those hips. That's the second time now that Yara has been so close. A little bit of a sneak attack there from Bullock. Played possum and then jumped in.
30 seconds remaining. If no score happens here in the sudden victory period, we'll go to two tiebreakers. More on that in a second, if that's required. 1-1 the score. Bullock's been warned for stalling. Slavikouski slow to get back to center mat.
Some good action there just before they went out of bounds. We'll see if they got more for us in these last 17 seconds.
Slavikouski, a lot of shots in space, a lot of shot fakes.
The way he moves those hands, throw you off. A nice upper body.
Slavikouski drives through. Bullock tries to catapult him over the top of him. No score yet. Slavikouski sits down. Are they going to take a look at this? No takedown is called. Goodale has the challenge brick ready. Is he going to throw it? That's the second time that Slavikouski has been that close to a takedown and hasn't been called.
It looks like the refs are going to take their own initiative and take a look at it here. Man, that was close to a takedown about 3 different times, but I don't know if he got it. Again, an awkward position.
With one of the new rule changes, of course, being officials can initiate an official review at any point in time. Coaches can ask them to do so. Even without the challenge, Rick, they can go back and look at anything differently. Dan, as you see here, Slavikouski drives through and then a lot of scrambling.
It's that left arm staying across and now on that leg. Right there, he gets it hooked. I would call that 3, but I think that might have happened after time expired, after he hooked those legs.
This is a critical call in the middle to late stages of this dual meet. Again, if the call stands and there's no takedown, we're going to go to 2 tiebreaker criterias here in just a second, or 2 tiebreaker periods. Man.
That elevation with the left leg of Bullock. I mean, he was almost to his back there.
Call is no takedown, so this is what's going to happen. We go to 2 tiebreaker periods. The first one, or rather each of them, will start on bottom. Whichever wrestler has more riding time after the end of the second tiebreaker wins the match.
Yeah, as we mentioned, sport of millimeters. Now it could be milliseconds that decide the match here. But I'm sure both of these heavyweights didn't mind that official review, taking some time, letting them refresh their gas tank.
Bullock tries to go for the mat return, just does. Slavikouski switches out of it. 5.6 seconds of riding time for Bullock. Again, a takedown can still happen in these 2 periods, Dan.
Yeah, you wrestle all the way through. That is a way to kind of lock it up for yourself, is get the takedown. Tough to do at the heavyweight weight class. But if nothing happens here, now Bullock's going to have to get out in under 5 seconds. A tough task, but certainly doable.
So here's the situation. Bullock has 5.6 seconds of riding time. Slavikouski ahead 2-1. If Bullock can get out before that 5.6 seconds elapses, Slavikouski will have to get a takedown or maybe even force a stall call on him. In that situation, if Slavikouski can hang on, even if he has 0.1 bit of riding time on the board,
And that roll.
As Bullock tries to go for the roll through. He can't get away. Slavikouski's taking away the riding time, and now he's got some. Here comes the challenge brick from Angel Escobedo's corner. The officials aren't going to take a look at it yet. Slavikouski's still locked around the body. Bullock switches out and gets away. 12.3 seconds of riding time for Slavikouski. The red challenge brick is still on the mat. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Bullock's got to go. And on a single leg.
This is going to be interesting. Coach Escobedo is challenging for a locked hands call, I would assume, in that sequence. So now if he gets the locked hands call, Bullock would win? Or would they go back and reset with 10 seconds left? Now that I'm not sure.
At that point in time, I feel like it would be tied, as there's the roll through again. So, yeah, I think you're right, Dan. They're looking for locked hands on the mat there, as both of them were right there on the mat. Slavikouski locked around both of the legs of Bullock.
It's going to be a question of camera angles here. It looked like where they wanted the locked hands call was actually when Yara was low around his shins, because that counts as a locked hands. Usually it's around the waist, but let's see if we have a better angle here. Right there, I can't tell from there.
There's a lot going on there, but again, all it takes is just a half second. Have both your hands locked around there in a position that you're not allowed to have your hands locked, and that's a point for the other opponent.
Weird wrinkle in the rule. They actually, your hands don't even have to be locked. They could just be touching.
Touching, yeah, that's right.
And that would count. And that's around anywhere the waist or lower. Let's see if this angle gives us a better look. He rolls.
Oh, that's so close.
It's so close. Because I think they did touch for
from that angle, it did
second.
look like it, yes.
They touched in a strange way, kind of one hand over the other. It definitely wasn't a lock, but as I just mentioned, it could just be a touch, so that it's going to be a close one.
The officials are taking a long time looking at it. This has the potential to be a dual meet deciding call. Indiana has not won a match since 165.
This would be a big one for the Hoosiers to get heading into the lower weights.
Rutgers has won the last 3. They've won 5 total compared to Indiana's 1. 2 bonus point victories as well. Officials still taking their time, and again, I've just been really, really impressed. Well, we have a second, talking about how the Scarlet Knights have just come out. Despite the travel, despite driving from Piscataway, they've been ready to get Big Ten wrestling going. It's their first Big Ten action of the season, Dan.
Yeah, they sure have. They came out and they just got to their offense a little bit more than the Hoosiers did so far. Had a little bit of positional awareness to get out of some positions, score some others. They had some crazy moves like we saw at 174. Momentum is a weird thing in wrestling and dual meets, because while it is an individual sport, there's something there, some energy that you feel when your teammate goes out and you see him win, you see him get to his attacks. Even though obviously it's an individual sport, but it does something to you when you're warming up and you see your teammate getting after it.
Here's the call. Call on the mat stands, no locked hands call. Yaraslau Slavikouski gets the win at heavyweight with riding time advantage in tiebreaker 2. What a match. It came down to the wire. Their second one that went into OT this season, Dan. And again,
Yara does a great job closing that match out, and the Scarlet Knights get another match back from Midlands.
We're on to 125 pounds as the lineup card turns over. We'll see Jacob Moran taking on Dean Peterson, as you mentioned, another Midlands rematch. Jacob Moran, the grad student from Portage, Indiana, went to Portage High School. Dean Peterson, the senior from Bernadette, New Jersey. A couple of guys that know a lot about each other. These two have wrestled a couple of times in their careers. Peterson 2-0 against Moran in the times that they've gone against each other. He won 8-4 the first time they squared off, and then had a 4-0 win against him at the Midlands.
And this was an action-packed match at the Midlands. A close one, and we saw a lot of close takedowns. Not a lot of points, but action-packed.
Action is stopped. We'll go back to center mat.
When we asked Coach Escobedo about this matchup earlier in the week, he said that he's told Jake that you're going to get to his legs, you're going to have opportunities to score, but it's about the finish. He was in a few times in that Midlands match. He's got to get to his finishes quick. That'll be the key for Moran.
Moran 16-4 this season, a perfect 5-0 in duels. 7 bonus point victories. He got 4th at the Midlands. Dean Peterson, on the other hand, 12-2, 6-2 in duels. He has 7 tech falls on the year, which leads the team. He's on an 11-match win streak coming into this one. And he is a Midlands champ after he won that thriller 8-7 against Blake West of NIU for the title.
We see them wrestling low on their knees here. A lot of respect for each other's offense, and there's a nice attempt. Now Peterson looking to jack him up. Let's see what he's got from here.
And an underhook on the right side, does Peterson.
I noticed that Peterson likes to get to an underhook and lock his hands around the collar and the underhook. Didn't see him score from there too much, but it is a position where there's big move potential.
Peterson last year really caught fire towards the tail end of the year. Got 5th at the Big Tens. He beat Matt Ramos, Michael DiAgostino, and Brendan McCrone. But Matt Ramos, a guy who knocked off Spencer Lee at the NCAAs a couple years ago, a guy that was the #1 guy in the weight class for a long time. And Peterson was able to get it done.
That's an impressive win.
Had a ranked win over Patrick McKee of Minnesota, Eddie Ventresca, Virginia Tech, all last year. Peterson, an incredible resume as a senior in a Rutgers singlet, 2-time NCAA qualifier, 2-time Big Ten's placer. Moran again trying to get to that point in his final year with the Cream and Crimson, 63-41 in a Hoosier singlet. We got a no score on the board as we head into period 2. And we'll go back mat side to Ava Wojcinki.
Individual title, and it was at Midlands. Peterson produced back-to-back rank wins, and reflecting on his success, Peterson said to the media, as soon as you get 1 win, then 2 wins, you can keep it rolling and add more confidence in yourself. I just have more confidence in my offense and my moves. Riley.
Thanks for that, Ava. Certainly looked like it at the Midlands. He was a man on a mission.
He sure was, and he gets that reversal there. Now Moran gets the escape. 11 seconds of riding time for Peterson.
Pending a team point deduction or any other call that would be the result of unsportsmanlike conduct or anything of the like, this dual meet is locked up as Rutgers is ahead by 19 points. With this match and 2 more to go, even with back-to-back-to-back falls, the Hoosiers would fall 3 points short.
Just a very impressive, nobody really saw this coming for the point margin here. Very impressive performance by the Scarlet Knights so far. Still excited, even without the team duel in play. Very excited about these next 2 periods, and 33 and 41 should both be electric as well.
We still got a lot of good wrestling left, Dan. 40 seconds to go, period 2 at 1:25. Peterson leads Moran 2-1. Riley Woodall and Dan Fongaro with you on the call. Ava Wojcinki on the sideline. Give you a recap of kind of how these matches have gone. We started at 149. Rutgers got a 12-1 major decision. Clark over Matt Hart, the true freshman. Connor Harr won 4-2 on a last-second takedown over Ryan Garvik. We've got some action going on right here. We'll rejoin it. Peterson in deep on a leg, trying to double off, collect the legs.
Moran holding that crotch lock, but
and he gets the takedown. Peterson Sly and quick, sneaky, athletic.
Oh, now he's in a great spot, has Moran's knee bent under him. Close out the period on top.
Another short time takedown, much like it was when Harrer got that late takedown against Ryan Garvik at 57. Got a little bit of blood time right now. Yeah, we mentioned the win streak, obviously, for this guy, Dean Peterson, Dan. And again, he's peaking at the right time. That's a quote from Clark at 149, his fellow teammate. But this is a guy in Dean Peterson who, as a senior, you go through your collegiate wrestling career, and this is where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And to carry that win streak with a Midlands title, that is super impressive. He's looking to keep it going into the Big Ten season. Building some momentum as we get going.
But yeah, recapping the rest of the dual meet. Tyler Lillard got Indiana on the board with a 7-2 win over Anthony White at 65. Jackson Turley, it took him just 50 seconds to get the pin over Derek Gilcher at 74. Gilcher bumping up from 65. 184, Cartagena Welsh gutted out a 3-2 win over DJ Washington, sophomore over grad student. Went to the intermission, 197, John Poznanski gets his third career win over Gabe Sollars. He won that one 4-2. And Yaraslau Slavikouski beat Jacob Bullock 2-2 with a ride time advantage in tiebreaker 2. As we resume back at 125, here we are with a 22-3 lead for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, a 5-1 lead for Peterson.
That riding time ticking towards a minute now. Jake's got to get one fast to keep himself in this, but great ride from Peterson. That claw, nothing too complicated, but keeping that weight forward and hooking that ankle, getting him back down. All these little adjustments on top make it really hard for Moran to move down there. See what he's doing with that right leg as he keeps kicking that out.
Peterson, one of the best top riders at 125 in the Big Ten and perhaps the country. He's showing it off right there. He's a two-time state champ. 72 straight wins to end his high school career. He did not wrestle his senior year due to an injury, but he finished with a career record of 108-2.
And he wrestled in the great state of New Jersey. Let's not forget about that.
You yourself a New Jersey native?
Yeah, New Jersey, great wrestling state. A lot of these Rutgers guys from New Jersey.
We got two of the premier states in the sport of wrestling, particularly at the high school level, on display right now. At the college level, obviously, New Jersey and Indiana, one of those as well.
Yeah, and what they have in common, both high school state wrestling tournaments are one class. You got everybody competing against everybody. I think that's the way to do it. And that's why both Indiana and New Jersey are very good at producing talent that succeeds at the highest levels of the sport.
So as I'm watching this match, Dad, I'm just observing Peterson just really controlling Moran with those collar ties. He's keeping Moran at a distance as well when he wants to. He's just really controlled this entire match from a tie-up perspective.
Yeah, he hasn't let Jake get to his fakes and really get his movement going.
Period 2 comes to a close. Check that period 3. That's the end of the 125 bout. Dean Peterson gets the win over Jacob Moran, 6-2, and Rutgers has all but tied this one up. 25-3 lead now for the Scarlet Knights with 2 weight classes to go.